When we think what makes us happy, we think these big things, but it can be as easy as making yourself a nice cup of coffee. It can be easy as reading a book, just breathing. And that is the premise of having a 10 out of 10 day. At this point in time, there's a lot of people that are kind of going through a lot of things. The world is a bit of a crazy place, but what are some of the barriers to people living a happy and fulfilled life out there for the people that you are working with?
Having a sense of their Dharma or purpose in life. Everyone has unique talents and abilities, so that for instance, my Dharma would be such that I can speak to 20,000 people for 5 hours without notes, but I can't fix anything. So if my car breaks, I'm stuck. I've got to call AA. So if I work in my area of excellence and my particular area of genius, it just comes out of me. It bubbles out of me. And what happens is people try to work in areas they have no talent in, or they force themselves, and it doesn't work. So the one is to find out where you naturally get ignited with excitement, where your passions are. It's not just emotional. If you chose to do something, which would be natural. So I have people who can sing. I have people who can create wealth. I have people who can organize businesses. I have people who can organize companies. And so they have an area of talent, but they'll have an area of non-talent. And a lot of people, especially in the public system, usually are told by teachers who never made a living. Remember, teachers make as much as a barber. That they should do X, Y, and Z rather than deal with their natural passions and ability and build their life around what they're good at. Yeah. I work with passions, my passions, finding your passions, connecting you and your passions, so that when you start to do something, you really genuinely enjoy doing it. It just bubbles out of you. Most people are watching television, are eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they build their life around entertainment and distraction. And so that most people that I know, even the very wealthy ones, don't live from their own passions and talents, which is a sadness for me. Many people plan to die by the time they're 80. They basically set up a life that's so boring that they die. And I'm 88 now. I plan to live to 120. My life is predicated on building a life worth living. And I find that most people don't have that in their life. They just sort of see what happens. And so that they blow their chances. So I have at age 88, I have another 25, 35 years to go. And the key is I know that if I am not engaged in pushing against my boundaries, I'll die also, from boredom mostly. And so we're caught up in a paradox of having talents, having ability, having areas of genius, not being told what they are, told that it's almost selfish to be wealthy. It's selfish to just build your life around you and your talents and your gifts, which I think is all lies, that these are cultural lies that keep people trapped in their smallness. I don't know if that's clear enough, but it's very clear to me.
Yeah, it's very good. Now, you talk about Black Swan events, Dr. Fred. Can you kind of explain what a Black Swan event is and how you help people navigate those?
A Black Swan is something that surprises you, that you're not prepared for, but it happens to everybody. So that in a normal lifetime, you're going to have Black Swans. Black Swans can be a motoring accident, could be a divorce, could be getting cancer, could be being embezzled, could be basically having something take over your life, whether it be a medical issue or a financial issue or a divorce. And when it takes over your life, you're usually not prepared for it, and you do it anyway. Many people see that as sort of like a mistake when it happens. Oh, why me? Why am I chosen to be picked on? When in fact it happens to everyone. But if you're prepared for it, you make something out of it. And if you're not prepared for it, you get knocked down by it. And so part of Black Swans is to prepare for the things you can prepare for in life, having enough money, having a good lifestyle, having healthy eating patterns, having a fitness program, all of which you can control, and be aware that there'll be things that you won't prepare for. You'll go through a traffic light and someone will crash into you, and you'll have to deal with the output of that. So we have in life things that we don't control and do control, and to realize that both of them happen, and they're not a curse, but they're part of life itself. And your job is to handle both artfully.
And for people that are going through that, and obviously something that I've experienced as well, it's very much about self-awareness. So when you talk about, people being more aware of themselves, what are some tips for people to gain more self-awareness?
This is a tough question because everyone is different here, Steve.
Yep.
One of the things about self-awareness is on a scale of 1 to 10, are you having a 10 out of 10 day? So every day as part of my morning meditation and as part of my prayers, my goal is to have a 10 out of 10 day, which is not perfect, but excellent. If I'm having a 10 out of 10 day, the day it follows a format. And I stay with that, and then I have fewer black swans and fewer things out of my control. When I'm shooting for 10 out of 10 days and I go to a 9 or an 8 or a 7, I'm already off course. And my goal that day is to get back to 10 out of 10. So when the day finishes, I can say, I got not to a perfect day, but I got to an excellent day. By staying in the 9-10 zone, life does you right. It comes out okay. Once you allow it to take you over, then you can knock all over the place. You have no control.
Going through my, obviously burnout, depression, fatigue, and struggling with anxiety, it was interesting, the 10 out of 10 day principle and the teachings that I had in the mastermind with you have really helped me. And one of the key things is what brings you joy, right? And I remember the day one of our mastermind, and you said, I want you all to write, work on a list of 500 things that ignite you, that make you happy, that bring you joy. And I remember all of us kind of looked at each other and went, 500. But it wasn't, what I worked out was it wasn't necessarily having 500, but it was a big number, an ambitious number that made you think, what are all, like when we think what makes us happy, we think these big things, right? But it can be as easy, and this is what I kind of pass on to people now, and the people I work with, is it can be as easy as making yourself a nice cup of coffee. It can be as easy as reading a book, just breathing. So it gets you thinking about what are all the things. And I know through my kind of journey that I've gone through is that I know if I'm not having a great day, I need to book a massage in, or I need to go for a walk on the beach, or I need to do all these things. And that is the premise of having a 10 out of 10 day.
It's the premise of taking charge of the day and not having the day take charge of you. If you're in a culture where everyone basically watches television, uses drugs, drinks alcohol, and wastes their life until they die. In other words, they hang around long enough to fulfill their cultural requirement of not dying young. So you die, you're 80 years old, you still have another 40 years, but you're going to commit suicide by not having a reason to get up in the morning. So you don't basically have a passion or a dharma or a destiny that you're following. As opposed to, let's assume that you're the head of a household and you have 6 kids and you have to feed them. That could be your dharma. It could be that you have a project. We used to run orphanages in Cambodia, and that was our dharma for about 8 years. We were basically providing for 30 or 40 children at a time. So it gave us a purpose that we took on, that gave us a reason to get up in the morning that was righteous and in the right direction. And what you find is most people don't have a reason. They just get up and wait to go to sleep, or they wait to have a drink, or wait to watch television, all of which is a waste of time. Let's assume you build your life around what we call 10s, 25s, 50s, and 100s, things that make your heart sing at different levels. A 10 could be a cup of coffee. It could also be cuddling your wife. A 10 also could be going to the sports and working out on the team. A 10 could be doing things for family and friends. Where you're reaching out of yourself. For instance, we used to do things on a regular basis. My wife and I still do. We'll go to a restaurant and order the meal for the person next to us. So they'll order breakfast and we'll pay for it and we'll leave before they get the bill. So by the time they get the bill, we've paid for it and left, and then they get a bill of a nice breakfast surprise. And that type of things is titillating and it's exciting. And that's part of what we call our Dharma or our purpose, to bring light to other people's lives.